Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 2.4A. I've entitled this video, The Middle Colonies, New York. This video is going to cover pages 91 to 93. The Middle Colonies. By 1700, England had 4 colonies in the region just south of New England. These colonies became known as the Middle Colonies because they were located between New England and the southern colonies. The Middle Colonies had a greater mix of people than either New England or the southern colonies. Question number 1. What were the names of the 4 English Middle Colonies? They were New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Why did the Dutch colony become English? Each of the colonies along the Atlantic coast had been established by different people for different purposes. Sometimes colonies were formed to escape political oppression or social tensions back home in Europe. In the case of New Netherland, however, the conditions back home for the Dutch were stable and fairly prosperous. New Netherland was founded simply to take advantage of economic opportunities in North America. So question number 2, what are 2 examples of push factors? And a push factor is a reason people might want to leave a place that led colonists to leave Europe during the colonial times. Number 1, sometimes they wanted to escape political oppression. And number 2, sometimes they wanted to escape social tension. Number 3, what was the main pull factor, a reason people might want to come to a place that led Dutch colonists to want to come to New Netherland? Well, for the New Netherland people, things back in the Netherlands were pretty good. They simply came for economic opportunities. So their pull factor, as the picture shows, was to make more money in North America. New Amsterdam. The Dutch set up the colony of New Netherland along the Hudson River. They developed the fur trade and built settlements where fur-bearing animals were abundant. In the colony's early years, settlers traded with Indians and built the settlement of New Amsterdam into a thriving port. Located near good farmland and with a safe harbor for ships, New Amsterdam quickly became a center for commerce and trading valuable beaver skins. Dutch officials also promoted agriculture. They granted large parcels of land to a few rich families. A single grant could stretch for miles. Owners of these huge estates were called patroons. In return for the grant, each patroon promised to settle at least 50 European farm families on the land. Patroons had great power and could charge whatever rents they pleased. So now we can answer question number 4. How did the Dutch make money early on during the history of the New Netherland colony? They made it through the fur trade. Question number 5. What 2 things helped make New Amsterdam a perfect location to be successful? Well, number 1, they were located near good farmland. And number 2, it was a safe harbor for ships. Question number 6. Summarize how the Dutch used patroons to help settle the New Netherland colony. Well, the way they did that was the government officials would offer large pieces of land to a few of the rich families. And they could get a bunch of this land. And the promise was, in return for getting that land, each of the patroons would say, hey, I will get at least 50 European farm families on this land. And then the patroons could charge whatever rent they wanted to the people that lived there. So it was kind of a you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours kind of deal. England gains control. Many settlers lived in the trading center of New Amsterdam, which by 1664 had a population of about 1,500 people. They came from all over Europe. Most of them came for the economic opportunities, working as merchants or farmers or in trades and crafts. Many were also attracted by the chance to practice their religion freely. African slaves were in demand as well. In the early years, they made up more than a quarter of the population of the town. Dutch colonists were mainly Protestants who belonged to the Dutch Reformed Church. Still, they permitted members of other religions and ethnic groups, including Roman Catholics, French Protestants, and Jews, to buy land. Quote, "People do not seem concerned what religion their neighbor is," wrote a shocked visitor from Virginia. Quote, Indeed, they do not seem to care if he has any religion at all. In fact, Peter Stuyvesant, the governor of New Netherland, had been ordered not to interfere with other religions as long as they did not disturb the peace or restrict commerce. Question number 7. What were 2 reasons why many different Europeans were coming to New Amsterdam by 1664? Number 1, most of them were coming for economic opportunities. Number 2, the other main reason is they were coming to practice the religion freely. So the freedom of religion and economic opportunities. Question number 8. What view towards religion did the Dutch colonists have in the New England colony? They had a very permissive one. They were willing to sell land and to have people next to them who had all sorts of religious and ethnic differences. So they were very welcoming. The relationship between the English and the Dutch was complicated by their common interest in creating new colonies and expanding trade. In North America, the Dutch wanted to continue benefiting from New Amsterdam's economic growth. However, the English wanted New Amsterdam for themselves. By 1664, the rivalry between England and the Netherlands for trade and colonies was at its height. In August of that year, English warships entered New Amsterdam's harbor. Governor Stuyvesant swore to defend the city. However, he had few weapons and little gunpowder. Also, Stuyvesant had made himself so unpopular with his harsh rule and heavy taxes that the colonists just refused to help him. In the end, he surrendered without firing a shot. King Charles II of England then gave New Netherland to his brother, the Duke of York. He renamed the colony New York in the Duke's honor, and there's how New Netherland becomes New York. And that is how our country, the United States of America, achieved its most populated city, New York City. And there you have it. Pretty cool. All right, question number 9. Why did the English and the Dutch have a, quote, complicated relationship during that time? Well, they both were looking for the same thing. They both were interested in creating new colonies, and they were both interested in expanding trade. And they both saw that opportunity in North America. So many times they were competing over the same turf. And that's what led to the skirmish. Question number 10. What action did the English take towards the Dutch in August of 1664? In that time, the English warships entered the New Amsterdam harbor, and basically they came in by force and said, hey, we're here to take this over. And they ended up taking it without firing a single shot. Question number 11. What were some reasons why Governor Stuyvesant surrendered New Amsterdam to the English without firing a single shot? Well, he swore to defend the city, but he didn't have a lot of weapons. He didn't have a lot of gunpowder. And because he was so unpopular with the people, they just said, we're not going to help you. And so he ended up having to say, it's all yours, English. And question number 12. Once New Netherland had been given to the English, King Charles II decided to rename it. What name did he give it to honor his brother, the Duke of York? It was renamed New York. Well, thank you for watching. Before we go, I have this little tidbit. In the 17th century, the Dutch colonized a small part of North America, now known as New York. The Dutch called this newborn city New Amsterdam. In that time, there were living a lot of Dutch people. A popular Dutch name for a male was Jan or Kees. That's why we still call people from New York Yankees. How about that? And that's why they have the New York Yankees as the baseball team that has won the most World Series in Major League Baseball. And they have a clear lead in that. Number 2, St. Louis Cardinals. But, you know, who's counting? Thank you so much, and have a nice day.